Reddit, what became of your school's bully? He moved into my dorm second semester of freshman year. Everyone hated him, and he ended up stealing from people on the wing. He was on the football team and they protected him, because it was only normal students he victimized. When he stole from other football players he lost his scholarship and dropped out of school. I lost track after that, but he seemed to spiraling. I found him working the counter at Little Caesars Pizza about 10 years after graduation. He didn't recognize me, but he did call me sir. I watched him slam his Dodge Neon into the back of my brother's parked truck. After it landed on its roof, he came crawling out, which is when I recognized him. He was pretty drunk. I told him we had already called the rescue squad. He crawled back in the car, got a joint, offered us a hit, and wandered off down the road. When the cops and ambulance got there, he was pretty happy and shook everyone's hand. He got some jail time. My bro got a new truck. Last time I saw him, he was fall down drunk at a tractor pull. This girl cyberbullied me for 4 years of high school. Made multiple Facebook accounts. Caused me to have to get multiple new phone numbers because she kept discovering my new number. Recorded videos of herself and others listing reasons why I should myself, etc. She now doesn't have an education, as I'm doing my thesis on cyberbullying and applying to PhD programs. The irony. He's currently in university, with my high school crush as his girlfriend. She is local athlete champion and incredibly hot. They are both in the same university, doing great. Wrecked. Wow, long-term wrecked. That guy bullies. My dentist told me a story about his bully. Just after he opened his practice, he made an emergency appointment because of a cracked tooth. The dentist recognized him, but the bully didn't. Bully got in the chair, dentist said, "Open wide," and started examining him. Then he said, "You don't recognize me, do you?" Bully said, "No," the best he could with the dentist's tools in his mouth. "You used to bully me at school. You made my life hell." Perfect timing. The bully apologized, and the dentist repaired his tooth. But imagine how he felt for those few seconds being absolutely powerless. Middle school bully, got stuck in a loveless marriage and reached out to me 2 years ago. Not to apologize, but to try to sell me some health pyramid scheme BS. Usually, I'd politely decline, but for her I listed why the product sucked and explained why she was getting screwed over by selling it. I was pretty rude, but she wouldn't take no for an answer. Went so far as to mention how I wasn't looking to gain weight, as from her picture I assumed that's what it did. For a minute I felt bad, but this chick always got on me for being small and how it was unhealthy, when she was obviously suffering physically from too much weight. I think she was trying to use her old ways to bully me into buying, guessing she didn't realize I'm not 12 and have learned to stand up for myself. Went on to get a PhD in the States. I'm from Europe. Made a small breakthrough in research of a disease, and published a book about it. When I found out, I was envious for a second, but I quickly realized it's really for the better. Teenage asshole or not, he helped humanity. If all bullies would turn out like that, the world would be a better place. Local politician. I'm not joking. Completely believable, don't worry. He's my older brother. He's doing okay, dropped out of high school, took up a trade, works for our uncle. He used to torment me cause I was a fat ass, super shy with girls, a big time nerd, etc. He teased me to the point even his friends were telling him to stop. At 17 I dropped 130 pounds, joined the Marines and disappeared. A few years into my enlistment I visited home for some holiday. He started the same using the old insults, so I hit him. A really good one. Knocked him on his ass. My parents got super pissed at me, but it was worth it. He's part owner of an auto parts store I buy from. He's also the second baseman on my beer league softball team I coach. One of my players said they had a guy to fill in for a tournament, so, needing bodies I agreed. My heart sank when he came strutting up. My player introduced me to him, and he said, "Yeah, Strophery and I go way back. I made his life hell in high school. I don't think I'll be welcome to play, but thanks for the opportunity." He turned and started walking away, and I called him back over. Told him that if he's half as good as he was when we were teenagers, he's welcome to play. He immediately agreed, and after the first game, which we won by the mercy rule, he had a long chat with me in the beer gardens. We're good friends now, and he has a permanent spot on my team. And yes, he is still as good as he was on high school. One of mine dropped off my radar for a few years, until I was flipping through local news channels and saw his ugly face. He carried an unregistered handgun and pipe bomb to his workplace, threatened the secretary that if she wouldn't marry him on the spot, he will shoot her and himself while blowing up the building. The cops shot him twice, but he lived. He was strung out on bathtub meth and crack cocaine. Had every type of drug paraphernalia under the sun, as well as 2 liters of vodka in his car. I think he got life in prison down to 20 years with a plea bargain. Almost felt bad for him, but then I remembered he threw rocks at me while I was 40 feet up in a tree, which I almost fell out of. I'm the supervisor of a shop he constantly steals from. The police have him now however, so I won't see him for a few months, but he'll be back. It's quite a sad situation. He got fat, developed a couple mental disorders, is still an undergrad 10 years later, lives with his parents, and is deeply sorry he ever bullied anyone. Oh wait, that's me. By the way, I apologized to them, and they forgave me because they're better people than me. I had 2. One ended up in jail for selling meth and beating his girlfriend. Good riddance. The other one went to college and became a chemical engineer. He messaged me on Facebook a while back and apologized for being a douche in high school, which I accepted. Has a wife and a kid now, seems to be doing good for himself, so I'm happy for him. She got really pretty and looks to be popular on Twitter now. Bitch. In high school, this girl punched me in the face because I walked past her, didn't even touch her, while she was hanging out at the staircase. She's a cop now. Sounds about right. He turned out to be gay. He's now married and has 3 adopted children. He's a really nice guy now. Trying to hide who you really are puts a lot of pressure on a teenager. One became a heroin addict and then born again Christian. He spends all his time on Facebook thanking Jesus for saving him from heroin. Another over a 13-year-old kid when playing a game of chicken with his car after high school. Went to jail for 8 years and is now a shitty photographer who relies on his few friends to hire him. He got kicked out of the college football program for drinking and lost his scholarship. He ended up as a laborer on a construction site and was involved in an accident that almost sheared his arm completely off. The only thing that saved his arm was the muscle he had built up from working out. I guess the tendon allowed for enough blood flow that they were able to save it and reattach it. I ran into him while he was still undergoing rehab. At that point we had been out of school for about 5 years. He was a changed person, much more humble, who acknowledged he had done a lot of wrong when we were young. We had a really nice conversation, and I was greatly impressed with his growth. Today he is a high school teacher and a football coach. I'm sure he is doing a great job, and that the kids he mentors are the beneficiaries of his hard-won experience. He did all right. He teaches kids taekwondo, and lives at home with his mother. I presume it's because she's old and sick and needs to be taken care of. He contacted me through Facebook and apologized for his behavior. Do you forgive him? Yes, I did. People do stupid shit when they're young. From what I can tell, he turned out to be a good guy. Was involved in a motorcycle accident and suffered serious brain damage. Actually made him a much nicer person. That accident knocked the cunt out of him. Or as I like to put it, it shook his brain into place. She's still really popular and has a lot of friends, but they all tell me they hate her. From time to time I hear she's going to Uganda or somewhere else for missionary work, then other times I hear she's getting railed by her 2 roommates, sometimes at the same time, while high on Molly. One pays her rent, the other gives her drugs. She never misses a Sunday at church though. She was popular in high school, until the day she got high off spice with her cousin, and then stabbed her cousin to death. She's in jail now, her family is broken, and she swears up and down she did it because God told her to. To be honest, I feel completely horrible for her family. They don't deserve the social backlash and the heartache. Well, my elementary school bully has a great story. He terrorized all of us 3rd graders. He showed up uninvited to my friend's birthday party, and my friend cried. He was such a donk. He was cocky and the best at everything. By middle school, we both were on the soccer team, and our coach took none of his crap. The bully was our leading scorer in 6th grade, the youngest grade, and he let us all know it. In the latter part of the year though, my mother got sick, and the bully's mother let me stay with them, which I didn't really want to do. During that time, we became friends, and now, in high school, he's mellowed out a ton. Like, he's one of the most popular guys, but that's only because he's such a cool, upstanding guy. Currently we are co-captains of our soccer team, and have a fantastic record. No one can say a bad word about him now, and I think that's really cool. Went to a great university and got a great job and married a great girl. He left our public school in grade 6, and I ran into him at a track meet in grade 11. He recognized me, he had lost a lot of weight, I didn't recognize him at first, confronted me, and apologized for his actions when he was younger. Completely turned around my opinion of him. If you've ever been a bully, that apology makes all the difference. Own the action. Works a dead-end job and drinks a lot. Guess his GED didn't get him very far. Every now and then I see him in the ER I work in, mostly when he drinks too much and stumbles off the curb. Had to help sew him up not too long ago when he bounced his head off of a parking meter. I feel bad for him. I don't have any hard feelings, in part because he never really harassed me personally, but also because I've seen how much of a puddle he's become. It's sad. Knowing how he grew up, the house he was in, the kid never had a chance. Ran into him like half a year ago in the local pub, had some beers with him and played some darts, because the guy I was with knew him and the guy he was with. Despite the fact that he made my life a living hell for 3 years, I didn't hold a grudge and he seemed fairly nice. It's almost like people can indeed grow up. I remember Katie. She was always the hottest girl at school, the first one to get a womanly figure, big boobs, hottest boyfriends, etc. I was a late bloomer, nerdy girl, completely uninterested in boys until after leaving secondary school, didn't wear makeup, etc. She made my life hell throughout school. She'd even get her gang to beat up my friends to stop them being friends with me. Didn't work, thankfully, and we are all still close to this day. Anyway, for many reasons I moved away from my hometown as soon as I turned 18. Puberty was kind to me, and I think I'm pretty decent looking. Put my linguistic abilities to use, and I now speak 5 languages fluently. I travel a lot, and had lived and worked in 3 different countries by the time I was 20. I have worked as an English teacher in France and Italy, a hotel manager in France, and I moonlight a bit as a jazz singer with a few UK jazz orchestras when I'm around. I don't go to my hometown much, but I was back for Christmas and I ran into Katie. She was serving me in the pound shop, UK equivalent of a dollar store, must have weighed about 250 pounds, and looked absolutely mortified to see that the nerdy girl she'd sent to hospital on several occasions with her beatings was stood in front of her holding a Prada handbag and waiting for her change from the bottles of pop that she just bought. It was hella satisfying, and I don't even care if I sound like an insufferable smug bitch. I spent time in hospital because of her, and I used to cry every morning and beg my mom not to make me go to school and face her. So glad she got hers. Well, I never had a high school bully, but my elementary school bully and I are still neighbors. Apparently she stole money from her boyfriend, and he came banging at her door and kicking it to get it back. I think her son is 3 or 4, and we are 19. She got a lower back tattoo when she was 12. My father knew she bullied me, but her parents don't, so her mother is always telling how nice I am and how she wishes her daughter and I were friends so I could lead by example.